thoughts on, what happened at K-State and how the guys are moving forward?
Execution. We had, our main thing was to get them a third down. We started off the game, I think the first 3 third downs we got off the field. The touchdown drive, we gave up 2 third downs long. And we were running the same thing. The same thing we ran versus Oklahoma when we were 10 of 11 in the previous week. The same calls, we just didn't execute. And then we get them in third and long. The fourth time they ran a sluggo, to number 16, which is a great player, Lockett, to get down to the 3-yard line. If we tackle, we get off the field. So you look at that one drive, it's 6-0. They converted 2 third and longs. If you execute the first one, which we've done a tremendous job of in prior games, you ought to field there. And then on the third and long, on the sluggo, we just tackle it, you ought to field there. So it comes down to execution. Execution, believing in what you're doing, why we're doing it, and understanding the situation. And that's what I've said from day one, is that play smart. When you play smart, you understand what's about to happen to you, and now you can go out and defend what's going to happen to you. And now good things happen for you. And that's what it's all about. It sounds complicated, but it's really that simple. Everything we do defensively, we say, I learned this years ago, if you can count to 3, you can play for me, sometimes 4. When you look at the passing game, it's 1, 2, 3 strong, it's 1, 2 weak. Every once in a while, you might get 4 strong and 1 weak. So everything we do is a matchup concept, and it's just a count. If we get that done, we play better.
Were you a little surprised that guys had trouble getting off blocks? Or do you just think that they were that good?
They do a tremendous job coaching. And I'm one of the people use the term overachiever. I always wondered, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to give 110%. I thought 100% was all when I was coming up. So to me, I think Coach Snyder does a tremendous job in getting everything out of his guys. You look across this country, I think there are more underachievers than achievers. Achievers are going to give you everything. Most people in this world are underachievers. They never reach their potential. And Coach Snyder does a tremendous job in getting everything out of his guys. So they play like a team should play, like a championship team should play. You look over the years he's been at Kansas State, how many times has he had a top 10 recruiting class? I don't know. I would imagine not very many. But yet, I think he has 2 conference championships. He's been in bowl games. And you look at other people in this conference, including the University of Texas, who've had top 5 recruiting classes. But yet he's done just as well as almost anyone else. How is that possible? Because he does a tremendous job teaching. He does a tremendous job in getting the most out of his players. In other words, his players achieve to their potential.
Coach, when we spoke to Quandre on Monday, one of the things he voiced his disappointment was he felt like there weren't enough guys on the team buying in to what you and the coaching staff are trying to implement here. Do you feel that or sense that from guys on the team?
You never have 100%, but we as a coaching staff believe we have 90% of those guys in that situation. I wish you always shoot for 100, but I don't care. I was at Florida, we won a national championship. I was at Michigan, we won a national championship. I've been in the NFL. It's never been 100%. So the situation here is no different than any other place. And as a staff, we talk about this. All the great teams out there, they have competition. Right now, we don't have competition at certain spots. So even if a guy makes a mistake, sometimes you don't feel confident enough to put that next guy in there. And that's kind of where we are right now. And so you continue to coach the guy that you have. You continue to work your plan that you have. And hopefully you get it done at the end of the day. That's what we're doing right now. We sit back, are we where we want to be? Of course not. I'm a Texas grad. I went out there and played football here for 5 years. Am I excited about what we are right now? Of course I'm not excited about what we are. Are the kids giving us everything they have? I certainly believe that. And I'm going back to what I've been saying. We need to play smart. And if we play smart, then we get closer to achieving our potential here.
Vance, you're a captain here.
Oh, my goodness. You remember that?
According to your bio.
That's exactly right.
When you see guys like Hicks, Quandre, Big Malcolm, are they giving you enough in that area, the leadership role?
They are. Those 3 gentlemen you just spoke of, they lead by example. They're also outspoken. And I had a chance to sit down and talk to each one of those guys this week, and I say sometimes as a leader, you have to walk alone. That means sometimes you have to get on your teammates, and you have to push them, but it's how you do it. It's not getting in their face and yelling at them. It's finding the ways to get the best out of them. And those guys have done that for us. And the biggest thing we as a coaching staff have told those three individuals, play within yourself. Don't try to do more, because when you start trying to do more, you actually do less, because now you spread yourself too thin. So we're trying to keep those guys focused in, get your job done first, and now bring someone else with you. Just imagine if each one of those three guys you just mentioned, if they brought one guy with them, that's 6. And then each one of those guys brings somebody else with them, that becomes 12. So that number starts to grow. And that's where we are right now, trying to get that number to grow in the right direction. And again, I just got to go back to Coach Snyder. That's what he's gotten accomplished at Kansas State. And those are the type of things we're trying to get accomplished here at the University of Texas.
Vance, last night Cedric sat in that seat, and he admitted to us that he's beating himself up at night because of what he thinks is a lack of production on his part. How would you evaluate both his production and I guess his state of mind from your perspective?
I would hope that he wouldn't beat himself up. Over the last couple of games, he's done a good job for us. Kansas State was probably his best game of the season. Going to this season, I know the expectations for said whether he had 10 sacks, but you look across this conference right now, the ball comes out fast. I mean, it's 3-step drop, and the ball is out. His sacks are not going to be there. So people saying, well, Sid is not doing this, Sid is not doing that. Well, we sit and watch the video, the ball's out quick. He's not going to get the sacks he needs. Sometimes we need to cover better in the back end, about time for him to get there. That's all part of it. When you look at a guy who gets sacks, it's a package deal. It's a linebackers, it's the defensive backs. They're covering longer. The buy time for the defensive line to get there. And also, we dial up blitzes sometimes, and sometimes he might be a guy that if the protection turns to him, then someone else is one-on-one, and they have to win. So it's not just a guy. People looking at, well, this guy had this. Well, it's all of them. He isn't the only one. It's a lot of other guys we need more productivity out of also.
Do you kind of see where a guy who had as many sacks as he had last year would feel like he needs to be getting those numbers again? I mean, right or wrong, some people judge players by numbers, and his numbers aren't there.
Sometimes numbers lie to you. I've been around people, and I keep going to a guy I worked for years ago, Earl Bruce. He used to say stats are for losers, because when you start losing, people go to stats right now. And that one year, I think it was 1990, we had 25 interceptions. We led the nation in interceptions. I didn't even know that. A parent wrote me a letter, sent me an article, saying, you led the nation in interceptions, because all I saw was W and L's, the only stats that I bought into, and I still kind of feel that way at times. I was in the NFL for 6 years as a coach, and I didn't always look at stats. I looked at why a young man did or did not have success on the football field. And for a young man that's a senior like Sid is right now, what the approach guys are going to look at when he's out there playing, what is he doing? Why is he having success? Why is he not having success? Is he giving great effort, which he definitely is giving us great effort? Is he playing hard? Yes, he is playing hard. So then you find out, okay, why the sacks are not there? Well, going back to what I just said, the ball's out fast sometimes. He's had a couple of batted balls. He's 6'6", and that's what we expect to see. And the last 2 ball games, his productivity has gone up. And we expect for that to continue to go up. We need to do a better job covering the back end and help our front 4 get sacks.
Vance, so how would you describe the role he plays in that scheme? What is it that you're asking of him that's made him integral to that defense?
We play some odd defense. We put him in a 4 technique, which is head up, to help us stop the run. And when you look at that, he's done a great job. A guy was 6'6", and he plays long. It's hard for guys to get into his legs, so he's able to handle 2 gaps. When you have a defensive lineman able to handle 2 gaps, which he's done for us, now the linebackers like Jordan Hicks is able to play faster in the run game. You look at the other guys, they're able to play faster. You say, well, a linebacker has 17 tackles. Why do you think he did that? That defensive lineman just bought one for the team. We told him, hey, you go fall on a grenade for us right now. Keep these guys off our backers. So now all of a sudden, that linebacker has 17 tackles.
How do you feel like the guys who are redshirting are coming along? As you kind of look a little bit to next year in depth, you got some guys who are shirting right now. Do you feel like you can see depth coming? Because you just mentioned you don't have competition every time.
That's always a question mark. And looking that far ahead is hard to do. When you redshirt a guy, you don't know what he can do. You know, a lot of our young guys that we are redshirting, we keep them down with us. They have a chance to go 7-on-7 against the offense. We let them come down and run some of the defensive schemes with us to stay up on what we're doing. But they're not in the heat. They're not in the battle. So you don't know what's going to happen next year. You know, you look at a guy like John Bonney, one of our defensive backs. You know, he stays with us. He's getting some work. But again, we don't know what he's going to do if he has to go out there and play in front of 102,000 people next year. Ed, one of our linebackers, I mean, he's athletic, can run. You put him in that stadium next year, I couldn't tell you what he's going to do. Derek Roberson, I think he could be an outstanding pass rusher. But all of a sudden, you get a game we playing against Baylor, Oklahoma, and that guy's 6'6", 315 pounds. He's running 4.9 and 40. What is he going to do? I don't know that. I mean, so it's those guys going to have to play for us next year, but that's next year. The only thing on my mind right now is Texas Tech and trying to find a way to slow them down. I think, you know, somewhere I think their passing game is 10th in the entire country, which means they can throw that ball pretty good. They have an excellent group of receivers. You know, they have a quarterback. You know, I know the quarterback is nicked up a little bit right now, but the freshman came in there last week against TCU at the end and moved the football. You know, so our hands are going to be full.
Vance, how would you respond to giving up 82 points in the game?
And what was somebody asked me about giving up 82 points a game? I don't know. You know, that's a tough question. And everybody, it's easy to say, well, it'll never happen to me. I could promise you the DC at Texas Tech said the same thing. And everyone has an answer, well, I would have done this, I would have done that. How do you know what you would have done? I could promise you that defensive staff and those defensive players, I mean, they're not excited about that, so they're going to come out against us and try to get after our offense pretty good. I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would feel. I mean, when we lost against Kansas State, I got to be honest, I was one miserable guy. You know, when we beat Iowa State, like I told you, I was happy for that day, but the next day, I was not a happy camper. I mean, so how would I feel anytime you lose, whether it's by a point or it's 82 points? I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be sleeping very well. And that's what coaches do. And you get that knot in your stomach, and the only thing to get that knot out of your stomach is to get a win. And that's where we are right now. I have a knot in my stomach because of the loss last week. And the only way I could get rid of that knot is to get a win. And that's what we work for. Our young guys work extremely hard. I give them credit. When we get after them, they work hard. And I'm pulling for them, let's go get a win. All the hard work you've done, let's go get a win. And 82 points, man, my hair is getting thin and gray right now. I think it all might disappear. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that, but I'm afraid.
Okay, let's answer that.
Situational football with a guy like Duke who loves to make plays on the ball, and in that 3rd and long where the sluggo route, do you tell him just play the receiver? Don't look back for the ball until he's looking for it.
You tell a guy to go play football, you can't put limitations on a player. Good players go to make plays. And it's going back to what I'm talking about, playing smart, understanding the situation, what you have to do. You know, because Duke is going to give you everything that he has. And he's learning to play the game. He played last year, he's playing this year. He has gotten better and better every single ball game. And you said, Duke, 3rd down, 13, tackle guy, you off the field. Don't worry about getting exceptions. But you got a guy with a great competitor, he's going to make that great play. And I'm an old school coach, and one of my philosophies is I don't ever want to see a guy have to make a great play. Just go do your job. And those are things that he's learning. And in the process of learning those things, you lose ball games. And did that one play lose that football game? Oh, no, not at all. It's one of many plays that lost that ball game. That first 3rd down that series was part of that. Okay, another 3rd down situation was part of that. It's a lot of things that cause you to lose a football game. It's amazing when you look at a game, whether you win or lose, one guy gets too much credit or too much blame. And a team wins and a team loses. I've never been in a situation where one guy went out there and he split himself to 11 people, played every position, and lost that football game. Everybody's responsible. We had a blitz on right at that situation. Okay, you sack the quarterback, guess what? That play doesn't happen. Post safety, if you don't stumble, that don't happen. On a 3rd down previous to that, they had a 4-man rush, get your hands up. You don't get to that point in time. If this linebacker gets to this point, he counts to number 3, it doesn't happen. So all those go into that situation. So they're all learning. But sometimes you learn the hard way.
And
You know?
that brick house you mentioned a couple weeks ago, the shower building, how high is that right now?
Oh, we're on the foundation, baby. It's the first year. It starts at the foundation. How many homes have you seen built where they built from the top bottom? They fall down, so it's one brick at a time, one level at a time. That's what we are. And again, you know, and I've said this before, are we happy being where we are? Of course we're not happy where we want to be. The players not happy, this coaching staff not happy, the alumni not happy. If you are, something's wrong with you. So to build a strong home, it takes time, which no one wants to hear. But that's just reality. And sometimes people don't want to live in reality. It's a perception. When University of Texas over the past 5 years had the top recruiting class here, third here, what does that mean? Who put them stars on there? I'm just going to go back to Bill Snyder. That hadn't had it. And the guy who program I looked at for years as a college coach is Tom Osborne. How many top-ranked classes he had, but yet he has 2 national championships? He said he want big, fast, tough, dependable guys who love the game of football. He didn't care what parade All-American, how many stars they had. And that's what he went and recruited. And that's what it's all about. So that's what we are. We're in the process of recruiting. We're in the process of developing the players that we have here. But we're going to bring in competition. We're going to make us a better football team by depth. And is it going to happen tomorrow? No. I wish it did. Coaches are very impatient people. And I'm one of the worst. As you get older, you have no patience. Each morning you get up, you're mad about yesterday and can't get to the day sometimes. And that's just life. So we got to deal with it one day at a time. That's what we are.
Coach, speaking, kind of on that same vein, Coach Strong's always talked about taking it one game at a time, but he did this week say it's very important to make a bowl game for you guys, and Sean Watson has reiterated that. From your perspective, sitting at 3-5, how important is it to make a bowl game?
I think for the seniors and for this program, it's always important. But again, I guess I'm an old hat. I don't talk about the bowl game or trying to make a bowl game. I'm talking about one thing. Today we have practice. Let's be the very best we can be today. I'm a short-term guy with short-term goals. If you accomplish your short-term goals, then a long-term goal is that bowl game. So we have to go and win today in practice. Every play, we have to beat Texas Tech on that play. And then the next day, the same thing, and then you get to the game at Texas Tech. Then you have to find a way to win that football game. Then you get to the next game. That's Sunday when we come back to practice. We have to find a way to be the best we can that day. And that's how I look at it. That's why I talk to our players about defensively. I mean, the day, we got to win the day. Let's win the day and see what happens. If we get to that thing, then eventually, long-term wise, you'll get to your bowl game. But if you start thinking that far ahead, you lose sight of what needs to be accomplished today. And that's what I say to the defense. Don't worry about tomorrow. Let's take care of the day.
Is Shiro or Blewett pushing said on that?
We rotate guys right now. Bryce Cottrell is one of those guys in there. Shiro is getting playing time in there. So everybody's playing. When you play against these type of offenses, you need to play really 6 to 8 guys, because they're giving you 80 to 90 plays a game. So we rotate guys in there. Otherwise, they just can't go. They can't play 80 snaps a game. It's just too difficult for those guys, especially 300-pound guys, to do that. So all those guys are going to play. And again, I think our front four, they've done a solid job for us this year.
In terms of Tech's offense, is this typical air raid, Mike Leach, or is it different? It's different.
It's a little bit of Leach's offense, but it's different. And Leach, and I had a chance at Oklahoma State to coach against Leach. Leach was really into concepts. I mean, he had a little bit of the West Coast concepts, as far as his route combinations. A lot of the air raid concepts, they use the term grab grass. In other words, we're going to throw a ball out there, we're going to spread you from sideline to sideline, use all 53 yards, and get open. Well, Leach had high-low concepts, just like we faced this past week versus Coach Snyder. A lot of things I've seen right today is that I don't wait till you get open, grab grass and get open. I've been around some of the spread guys right now, and I hear them use that term, let's grab grass. In other words, you get open, I don't get you the ball.
Coach, it's National Cat Day. You missed that cat. You gave away a little bit more days like today.
I tell you what, you know, I love cats. You know, I grew up as a dog. I've had dogs all my life. I met my wife, and we bought her a stray cat. We living in Colorado. We had, I think, it was 12 inches of snow, and there was a cat just outside running around. And my wife let this cat inside. Now, believe it or not, I told my wife, I said, look here, Margaret. I call her Maggie, but that day I call her Margaret. I said, Margaret, we are not keeping this cat. It's 2 weeks later. We still have this cat. And eventually we had that cat for 10 years until it got sick. And the cat's name was Cat with a K. I never gave it a name because I planned to get rid of that cat. That cat was with us for 10 years, and after that cat passed, I felt my wife wanted another cat. We got another cat. And I've been a dog person all my life. It's a beautiful thing when things work out that way. When you get married, boy, it's amazing what your wife can do for you. Thank you.